Hi, I want to provide perspective on self-forgiveness, and hopefully by the end of this video you will have experienced a self-honest statement lived, applied in one moment, where you change in one moment. So, within me, I've already have had um, a really effective application of self-forgiveness, where um, actually uh, you could say became ineffective in my self-forgiveness again, and now I just came back in just recent. The experience of when I was applying self-forgiveness was that of complete change within a moment, where something would arise, something something has been a thought, a habitual thought, such as um, I've had well, none that comes to mind right now, but I'm sure you have an example. Um, could be a reaction. Those for me were the more interesting ones. It's also like really interesting when you're having lots of thoughts and you're just so focused on those thoughts. You're so intent on hearing those thoughts, I don't know, or being those thoughts, that you don't even realize the reactions you're having within your body. And there's also unconscious behaviors, whether it's moving oneself in a certain way in terms of expression, or also it's living statements like likes and dislikes, and yeah. So within me, this night I read a blog post I did that was, I don't know, at least a week ago. And that was when I did that blog post was when I became really effective in my self-forgiveness. And since became ineffective again, when I read this blog post, I what I did was I picked one point, but first I breathed, gave myself the moment of breathing as my whole body, and then I looked for one point, just one point, where I know I could apply self-forgiveness on, meaning I know that I'm accepting, allowing this, and it can be stopped. So this is a bit tricky, maybe for you, depending on what you consider stoppable. Or basically only human physical body is real. Basically. So all thoughts, emotions, and feelings can be stopped. And that is why when applying self-forgiveness, there is a silence, because that's how the physical is. That's who you really are as a physical. So, one obvious blatant abuse, as I've always, not always, but I've been, yeah, it's always been true, but we don't always see, is how we could, for example, feel angry. That doesn't make sense. Why would you want to feel angry? I mean, looking from a physical perspective, your body is generating this pain within you, this uncomfortableness. It could be anxiety, it could be lots of things. And yet, considering the actual practical living, there's no reason for it, none whatsoever. So, you'd be surprised of how much you can do self-forgiveness on. And maybe, yeah, you could see how far you can go. So, honestly, the physical is the one thing that's stable. Because you can't apply self-forgiveness so that your hand disappears instantly. But a thought, it isn't physical. An emotion isn't physical. They're based on, you can almost say, they're like this hand in terms of it's an emotion right now. So as you apply self-forgiveness, it stops. So yes, you have physical systems within you that you could say allow, or that gives the ability to feel those emotions, feelings, and thoughts. Yet they're keeping you enslaved. You're continuously in patterns and habits, and which you could direct yourself. You could take responsibility for yourself. You could live your life, live your breath. Anyway. So, I apply self-forgiveness. I forgive myself for accepting and allowing for abuse to exist in this world of and as myself. I stop all abuse as myself towards myself and abuse of others to others. And that is a living statement. And the whole point of self-forgiveness is that it isn't bullshit. You're living the words. So you may have to bringing your whole self right here. Maybe you could start with that, like knowing what it feels like to bring your whole self here. And then you live words here.